All right, there is a crazy thing going on. Did Dean Koontz, under the pen name Nicholas Lee or something, did he predict this Wuhan coronavirus in 1981? What? This is crazy. I don't know. Let's check it out. Okay, so if you put supposedly Dean Koontz, under the pen name Nicholas Lee, wrote a novel back in 1981 called The Eyes of Darkness. And if you put Wuhan 400 Dean Koontz in the Google search, just as a normal Google search, you're going to come up with all of these headlines from Zero Hedge to Facebook, Reddit, BitChute, all of these people, of course, YouTube, all of these people talking about this. This is pretty crazy, right? So you go and see what this book was about. Wuhan 400 Coronavirus 1981 novel predicts the virus origin. In a bizarre coincidence, a 1981 fictional novel, The Eyes of Darkness by Dean Koontz, predicts a coronavirus-like outbreak and its origin. The book talks about how the virus called Wuhan 400 was developed in military labs around the Chinese city of Wuhan, from where it got its name. The top secret information of the biological weapons program is later acquired by U.S. intelligence from Chinese defector. The American military is ultimately successful in creating the vaccine, which the Chinese could not. Whoa, holy crap! Holy crap! Well, this is the proof. There you go. There you go. Not so fast. Not so fast. This has gotten I can't say how weird this has gotten. This entire situation is weird. So it says the mother sends her son on a camping trip with a leader who is led into a trip of the mountains, 16th, blah, blah, blah. He's dead. She starts to get bullying attacks and all of these things. To find out her son ends up dying. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is pretty scary. So, all of this, a perfect weapon. First of all, this is the worst biological weapon ever. Ever. If this was a biological weapon, it's the worst one ever. Biological weapons need to kill you pretty instantaneously. And the military would have vaccines for it. And I'm not going to go into all that. This would be the worst biological weapon ever. But let's go into a little more detail. I'm going to show y'all how to do some research. Not saying that y'all don't know how. I'm saying people are easily swayed by such a headline, especially when it's put out by seemingly reputable sources like Zero Hedge. Okay. See, now if you put Wuhan 400 Dean Koontz in the search box and you press tools, it gives you an option, it gives you an option of dates. And you can search anytime, past hour, past 24 hours, past week, month, year, or custom range. So what I did was custom range. This is how I do a lot of research. And I put 1982 to 2015. Oddly enough, you can't find a darn thing about this Wuhan 400 ever even occurring. Nothing. I mean, this is like some educational times, COD, has nothing to do with this Eyes of Darkness. Talks about a 400% jump. See, it's going to pick up similar words. The second conference on lunar bases and space activity, like there was a guy named Dean, and there was something in Wuhan. I mean, you can put it to where it's absolute results, like verbatim, right there. But I wanted to, keep it open to some things. But as you can see, if you search before now, you can't find anything on this supposed book. But I went on and put The Eyes of Darkness, Lee Nichols, Wuhan 400, and I searched that to 2018. Again, can't seem to find anything about this book, even if I take out Dean Koontz, because he was using a pen name called Lee Nichols. Dean Koontz is a very strange fella. I don't know. But it doesn't exist. Huh. But let's go. But The Eyes of Darkness did exist. But as you can see here, The Eyes of Darkness, Wuhan 400, doesn't. So what was this Eyes of Darkness actually about? A mother's greatest wish or worst nightmare comes true in this chilling novel by #1 New York Times selling best author Dean Koontz. A year had passed since little Danny's death, a year since his mother began a painful process of acceptance. But tonight, Tina Evans swore she saw her son Danny in a stranger's car. Then she dreamed that Danny was alive, and when she awoke, she found a message waiting for her on Danny's bedroom. 2 disturbing words scrawled out on a chalkboard. Not dead. Was it someone's grim joke? Her mind playing tricks on her? Or something more? For Tina Evans, it was a mystery she couldn't escape. An obsession that would lead her from the bright lights of Las Vegas to the cold shadows of the high Sierras. A terrible secret only seen by... And then you gotta click... Well, that doesn't sound anything like a virus. Now, what's going on here? What is going on here? These people are playing with our minds, and they're making money off of it. So, that wasn't the only one. I mean, that's Dean Koontz's actual page right here. Okay. And you can click on it. Goes into more detail about this was the second book he wrote using that pen name, Nicholas Lee, and blah blah blah. So it goes into more detail if you want to look into it. Right here, a year after her son's death, Christine Evans. Didn't it say Tina? This one says Tina. This one says Christina. Oh, I guess that could be Tina. We'll go with that. If someone knows something she doesn't, or is just playing a joke on her to make her suffer more than she has, about her son's death. Again, nothing about a virus at all. This was the cover of the book. And I think I remember this book. I think my mom read it. She's into Dean Koontz and stuff. Our house burned down. Their house, my parents' house, burned down back in 2011. So she doesn't have any more of her books I would love to have seen. But this was the actual front cover, not this. So what in the Sam Hill is going on here? We can keep going. There's more. The Eyes of Darkness. A mother sends her son on a camping trip. You see? Look, this may have been the original first cover. Now, I don't remember that one, but I do. This looks familiar to me. I think my mom has read this book. But this might have been the 1981, whenever he was going under the... But still, it's a woman crying. Has nothing to do with this scary skeleton man. Where'd he go? Wuhan 400, The Eyes of Darkness. I mean, look, this right here, a novel by Dean R. Koontz, originally written as Lee Nichols. The Eyes of Darkness. Huh. They call the stuff Wuhan 400 because it was developed at their rDNA labs outside of the city of Wuhan. And it, y'all, I'm trying not to laugh. But do you not see this? Do you not see that they're screwing with you? This book never existed. I mean, a book called The Eyes of Darkness existed, but it was about some mom that lost her son at some trip, and then she began seeing him and thought that someone had her son, so she's like going around Las Vegas and to the Sierras. She thought she saw him in a stranger's car. How is this about a coronavirus? It's not. These people are sick. Dean Koontz is part of it, I'm assuming. This is insane. So you can click on this to read more into detail. I would do that before they, well, you know, you can always go back to the Wayback Machine, and you'd be able to put this link in, because right now people obviously aren't actually looking into this. They're just looking into, oh my gosh, a book. See, this is what people are seeing when they put this search in, you know, or even Wuhan 400. This is the stuff. Well, okay, here we go. 1981 book, Wuhan 400 virus destroys the U.S. Dun, da, da, da. And then it's like, what? Did Dean Koontz write this? Dean Koontz. So weird. So weird. Oh my gosh, he must have written this book in 1981. It's a bioweapon! What? They are screwing with you. This is how far they will go to not tell you that they've been screwing around in Antarctica, or just to make money. Because this is what they're doing. You know, if you can look at our stock market, it's really not fluctuating much. So they are taking advantage of this situation. I'm not saying this situation isn't occurring. I'm saying that they're screwing with people's minds by putting this kind of stuff out, and they know that conspiracy theorists, truthers, are gonna pick this up and then run it out on YouTube for all the world to see, and then we'll have nation against nation. The US and China created a bioweapon? What? Bill Gates, what? That's what they're doing. This is quite insane. So again, I'm not saying this isn't occurring. I'm saying it's occurring, but at the same time, they are running these agendas. Absolutely, 100%, that's what they're doing. They are pushing these agendas. They're like, ooh, perfect timing. Let's go. You know, I was reading the World Health Organization, the director of the World Health Organization, his Twitter account. And I mean, he might as well just say, hey guys, this is the best time that we can roll out our one world government. I'm telling you. Oh, actually, I think I shared it right over here. Did they remove it? No, right here. I put, this is code word. This is a code for one world government. So this Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, I'm not even going to try to say that. I don't know. He is the current Director General of the World Health Organization. If you don't remember me talking about, the Executive Director of the World Health Organization mysteriously died. Like the same day that they quarantined Wuhan. He was only 51. He could have died, but, I mean, he could have died of natural causes. They say it was a heart attack. But, they have pictures of him from that day. He was in meetings and stuff, and he's smiling. He seems fine. That doesn't mean that he couldn't have dropped dead. But this, as weird as this is getting, the more I'm suspecting, because see, he actually was he was saying things that they didn't want him saying whenever during the Ebola outbreak back in 2014. So they already didn't like him too much. The World Health Organization is just the UN one world government pushers. But you can see that this man posts like his entire agenda all day long. So he talks about, tomorrow I'm going to travel here and we're going to strengthen the health system and everybody must come together. This is the best time for everybody to come together. Come together. You can go through this man's Twitter and that's what it says, like in everything. Come together. Come together. We must work as one. We must work as one. Just like they're just odd. They're just very disingenuous. It's almost like a book. I don't know. This is a meeting about science. We need collective knowledge, insight, and expertise to answer the questions we don't know the answers to and identify the questions we may not even realize we need to ask to stop the 2019 NCOV outbreak. Well, Mr. Tedros, it came from Antarctica. You can check it out on my channel. But, so anyway, they are, where is it? It's something, the UN, like they're bragging about how they are getting the UN together. Everybody's gonna stop this. Y'all remember the one world government speeches that have happened in time, like Ronald Reagan, whenever he talked about, well, maybe we could all come together if there was like an alien attack or something like that. We could all come together. What if the coronavirus is their alien invasion? You see what I'm saying? See, they already kind of saw how many people caught on to their alien invasion thing. What if this is it? Not that it was planned, but they are like, oh, perfect scenario. We've got a perfect scenario. We're already having to quarantine places, so let's just roll with it. I'm sure they've been waiting for something to do like this for a long time. Or this is like a test run. Either way, this is weird. Let me see. Look at this. I bet many of you already know what this is in the background. Could you imagine if he was taking a picture in front of a crucifix of Jesus Christ or something? People would be up in arms. That's Shiva, the god of destruction and rebirth, but of destruction. That's the Shiva statue, the same one that's at CERN. Let me see. This one. Same one. I mean, it's not the same one, but it's the same. That's what's behind him. They're all about destruction and regeneration. That's their thing. But let me just throw this out there for those that still want to try to understand how these things could occur. If we couldn't have found that, and things like that book called The Last President, and it's like Barron Trump and all of these things, how these things happen. And it's like, oh, was this all written out the whole time? Well, I have a different perspective on it. I believe that time is not linear, and it's only linear in our minds. And I'm sure some of you have already looked into something like this, but time is a construct of man. Meaning, when you're having a great time, time flies. It's like you don't even realize how long it's been. or when you're working hard or whatever. But then when you're bored, it's like time is so slow. Well, it's only that way because we look at a clock that was constructed by man. Okay? And we are in those constraints of that clock. And obviously it's by the sun and the phases of the moon and all that, but we essentially chained ourselves to the sun and the moon and all, well, the sun, essentially the sun, rather than just saying, cycles happen and this is how it is and you just live your life. We have made this time prison. It's essentially what it is. Time is a prison of the mind. And I wanted to kind of just show you this in kind of a biblical way of looking at it. The modern Western mind views time as linear, which has a beginning and an end. Whether you ascribe to the theory of evolution or creation, the timeline for the planet will always have a beginning and an end. The creationists view this span of a few thousand years, where evolution is a few million or billion or whatever. But everybody has it on a timeline. And, it's like man, and then the end, and, we have the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, and all of these things. But time is not linear. It is circular. A clock is not a timeline, but a circle. For the simple reason that time does not begin or stop. I mean, it does on a stopwatch, but technically it doesn't. It keeps going. It continues without a beginning or an end, in the same fashion that days and years are also circular. That doesn't mean there's not going to be an end of an age or an end of an era, or, we can see the end of times happening in front of our eyes. But as Christians, and even people that subscribe to rebirth and whatever else, it's even at an end of an era, or what Christians, how we believe that, God's going to come, Jesus is going to have his second coming and all of this. That doesn't mean the earth is going to explode into nothingness. We're going to then live forever in, you know what I'm talking about. But you see that there's not an actual beginning or an end. And I think that's our problem. I think along with circular timing, there seems to be parallel times going on at the same time. And I believe that this could absolutely explain the strange things that go on in the Bermuda Triangle. And, they have three. They have the Dragon Triangle, the Bermuda, and then another one. But it's like you slip into a different realm. And you honestly can find this in the Bible. Both space and time exist as circles. Interesting, the Hebrew languages use the same words for space and time. Throughout the universe, there are an infinite number of circles. Some small and some large. The most obvious of these extremes are the orbits of atoms and solar systems. An atom, maybe not. It's kind of... This really isn't how an atom looks, but I see where they're going with this. The repeating intervals of time, whether seconds or billions of years, can all be represented by a circle. There are other circles of time and space we already have mentioned. So, that could absolutely help you to understand the, people when they're reading their Bible get confused. I mean, as do I. I'm not perfect. Come on now. As the Old Testament is something that happened and doesn't really have prophecies, although people that actually do look into it, that the Old Testament has prophecies of the future. And so rather than trying to put it on a timeline, you need to look at it as errors, like this is going to be the end of an era. Jesus is going to come back and judge the living and the dead, and all of these things, because it will be the end of our time. And we can see that occurring right now. And there have been multiple errors of all of this. I can't explain everything. I'm just saying that this seems to make the most sense. And it can have certain evolution theories standing alongside creation theories. I do not believe that man came from a rock, a primordial soup. I think that that's just too basic and too silly. But we do see certain evolving things. But those are usually mutations. And I've spoken about that in my other videos about those type of things. I'm not a subscriber to the Big Bang of evolution and all of that, because it doesn't make any sense, and many scientists don't subscribe to that anymore either. There's thousands of them that have signed a petition, The Descent from Darwin. And but this could explain both of them at the same time. And I think that as with so many other things, we can go to the Bible to help us explain that. A lot of people don't understand, especially why the Bible is written in parables, and why just some random person can't open the book and be like, oh, well, that means this, this, and this. There's a reason that the Bible was written in parables. It's because the people who are supposed to see it, supposed to hear it, the people that actually believe and have the faith and all of these things, it will speak to you, rather than like it being a novel or something. It's going to, like, one verse could possibly tell you 10 different things, and it just depends on that day, that time that you're reading it. And that's why we call it the living word. I know that these two topics didn't really have anything to do with each other, but they kind of do. We see a lot of things where it comes out like, oh my gosh, they predicted this back in the 80s or whatever. Maybe not. Maybe there's parallel times that they can go back and insert some of these things, which would also explain the quote-unquote Mandela effect, or the butterfly effect. So this is silly, and don't get caught up in this. And if you see anybody talking about it, go ahead and direct them to my video. I'm not saying they're stupid if they subscribe to it. I mean, if they didn't look into it more, but I'm just putting it out there for you, just so people can understand. They're definitely messing with our minds in a very strange way, and it could definitely have something to do with the circular time. Some people might call it time travel, but I'm not going to get into that, because it's too complicated. Honestly, our minds, our human brains can barely comprehend it. There's a movie on Netflix called Dark. Y'all, it is the most complicated video to understand, and that's essentially what I believe, and many others believe, is how our time works in this circular pattern, with parallels and things like that. And it's a German not sitcom, but like series, but they translate it into English, and it's weird. It's so weird. Like, you have to actually be paying attention to every part of it, or you will just be confused. I'm still kind of confused. Because it's like the mom ends up being the daughter. I all of these things, it's crazy. But all of this, a circular time would make sense for all of these things. For Antarctica, having, humans just a few hundred years ago, but yet the scientists say it was frozen for millions of years. Like, how can these two things be at the same time? I cannot explain all of it. I'm not trying to say that I can. I'm just trying to give you something to think about, and I don't know, pray about, maybe try to understand. I'm trying to understand. It's kind of hard to explain it, but I believe that that's what's going on, and this is just nonsense. They are just screwing with our minds. So, to reiterate, this is actually happening. This virus is happening. But at the same time, these powers that should not be are using this as a mind weapon. It's the most powerful weapon you can use. You can fight a war, you can win a war without ever shooting one shot. It's been done. Panama was one of them. But we do it all the time. They use the media and all of these things to screw with people's minds, and they can overthrow a government just by getting the public on board, by putting agents of both sides in. And we can see that right now with the Antifa side and with the Trump side going at each other, when in reality the people at the top are all working together. They want you divided, distracted, so they can do their insanity at all times. They want you divided and distracted. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to help support my channel, the links will be in the pinned comments. One last thing, guys. I want to thank all of the people that have donated within the last 90 days. I believe I have or at least not last 60 days. Thank you so much. Every dollar counts. So anybody that's on my Patreon, and these are the people that sent me a PayPal: Proctor K, Frank J, James H, Bright Horizon 771, Janie S, who is also a fellow Navy veteran, David F, Shelly P, Gerard D, Duggar D. I don't want to, if you want your entire name or your screen name said, just put that in the notes of the PayPal. Joe R, Joyce C, Michael S, and somebody named None. Thank y'all so much. So this, if I missed you, please let me know. But thank you so very much. And this, like I said, it should be from the last few months. I went through and got all of these. Thank you so much. Essentially everything with the virus is being demonetized, and they're being crazy. Even if we're like this, it's just weird. Sometimes I can get past it with my titles, but it's not good. And this is a lot of work, because y'all only see a little bit of it. But anyway, and still be prepared. The virus is going on, and not only our silver and its alkaline and all of that. I won't get into all of that right now, but it's absolutely phenomenal. And you can read the testimonies. There's a 20% off down in the pinned comment. Y'all have a wonderful day. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye, guys.